Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juce, and today we are going to be talking about how can you incorporate D&D monsters into society to benefit the people in those places. With that, we're going to be doing a DM's roundtable with my three wonderful guests, and I will let them introduce themselves. And this time, we will start with Sarah.
Hey everybody, I'm Sara. I'm the Hype Goblin. I do fantasy cosplay content centered around D&D and other TTRPGs on the internet. And I also do actual play TTRPGs. So check out my channel. Just Google the Hype Goblin and you'll find me.
You can check in the description below and you will also find her stuff there. Fred, you're next.
Hi, I'm Fred. I run the How to D&D YouTube channel. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Discord. If you actually want to talk to me, don't type, just talk to me. And I cover everything Dungeons and Dragons 5e and yes, other RPGs when I can.
Excellent. Next up, Josiah.
Hello, I'm Josiah. I go by Dungeon Dad online. You can find me pretty much everywhere under Dungeon Dad on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, MySpace. That's not true. I don't have a MySpace profile.
Does MySpace still exist?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
It's not what it was, though.
It's a shadow of its former self.
I had two MySpace accounts.
Damn, I didn't realize I was talking to a MySpace professional. But yeah, you can find me everywhere under Dungeon Dad. I make YouTube videos about D&D stuff with a focus on monsters.
We're right in your wheelhouse today.
That's true. That's true.
And then I am Juce from Master the Game. You can check out all my stuff over at masterthegamerpg.com. So today's question is, what is a good way to incorporate D&D monsters in society to benefit the people of their cities and civilization? So with that, let's start with Sarah this time. How would you incorporate D&D monsters into society to benefit them?
I just make them contributing members of the society financially. One of my favorite ways to incorporate dragons who aren't antagonists in a story is to give them a hoard that isn't necessarily gold. What happens when the dragon's hoard is a grove of fruit trees or something else that produces a byproduct that they don't want littering the ground, but the nearby village might benefit from? So you could make them fruit sellers to get rid of that product. They get some gold in exchange, and their fruit tree doesn't get overrun, or their fruit tree orchard doesn't get overrun by random fruit trees sprouting everywhere. If they're animals that could be used for working purposes, why not train owl bears to pull carts? Why does it have to be ox and be so mundane? Cockatrices, like what could they possibly do or have as a byproduct that would turn them into a livestock type animal or something that you would want to have around, maybe for protection. Maybe you want them around so that they can peck anyone who comes into your yard and petrify them for a little while. We actually used them as a security system in one of my games. We adopted a cockatrice and trained it as an attack animal and then sold the antidote to people.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Because
baby.
Yeah, we made the antidote from the byproducts of the cockatrice that we kept as a pet. So just I think the best way is just to incorporate them into the economy. Like, I mean, who doesn't want like a fairy dragon as a pet, or like a blink dog as like your traveling companion? Right. I mean, just there are so many ways that you can incorporate monsters and creatures.
How bummed out are you if you get petrified by someone's cockatrice security system and then like a bunch of pigeons poop on you or something, and then the petrification wears off and you're just like, oh man.
That is such a bad day. That is like, such a bad day.
Yeah.
And who knows, that could be like 5 years later, you're unpetrified, covered in poop. You lost a finger because it crumbled off somehow. Yeah. awful. I love it. Next up, Fred, what do you got?
I'm now thinking that I've got to get Sarah to play Fun with Monsters with me sometime after hearing that. It's going to happen. We're going to get you to do a Fun with Monsters. Okay, so the Otyog. This thing has got 3 tentacles. It's a really bizarre looking thing. It eats anything, basically. I think it makes like the perfect garbage disposal unit in a city. If it's got like a garbage dump, or just in your home, like out the back, you've got like a chute and you throw all the food, and then out the back is like a fenced area where the Otyog just eats up all of the garbage that you throw down there. So I thought that was a way of doing it. Obvious one is the gelatinous cube is a janitor in your sewer, so you don't have to actually go down there and clean it. You just get the gelatinous cube to go and do it. It'll be quite happy. It'll figure it out. And for those wintry nights, you get yourself a nice fire beetle. It can be like one of those portable household heater. So you just move around the house wherever you need it to. You just got to feed it. Just be careful. Sometimes they set the house on fire and it might burn down. So you've just got to be careful about that sort of thing. And then if you're really sick, so I'm going to say this obviously, if you're a really sick person, you could decide to use a basilisk to turn people into stone statues, so you could sell them at your garden statue shop. That's what I sort of had in terms of
That's for the evil
ideas.
campaign.
That's right. Yeah, we'll get Irma to do that for us though. Maybe replace the basilisk with Irma Thurman. She can cover that.
Nice. Josiah, what do you got for us?
I have 2 answers for you.
Okay.
One of them is very short though. The first thing, this is something that I did like kind of recently, and it's sort of a monster, but like it is a monster. It is a monster. It qualifies. It qualifies. I came to the realization that, how paladins have this aura that they extend around them. And there's a bunch of different ones. There's like the default one that gives you advantage on saves against being frightened and stuff. But there's a bunch of different ones that give you advantages on saves against all these different effects. And some of them buff you and whatever. I don't believe the paladin has to be conscious in order for that aura to be effective. They just have to still be alive.
Okay.
The way that it's worded.
Okay.
If someone is petrified, they're not dead. The petrified condition specifically says that you're not dead. So basically, we have this situation where if you have these super old, grizzled, like high-level paladins who have these dope-ass auras, and they're ready to like retire, with the use of either a friendly Gorgon or something, or a Medusa, or just like the head of a Medusa the order has kicking around, they can undergo this ritual where they become petrified and become like a statue. They strike whatever their sickest mode, and then they become a statue. And all these statues around town, like there's this town that's under the protectorate of this like paladinic order of knights, and all the statues around town are actual petrified dudes that extend this aura. So everyone in town is like healthier, less likely to be frightened. Some auras might increase people's armor class. Some of them might give people extra hit points. The Oath of the Crown specifically, I think, has the best aura. Like all these different aura effects that also stack, because paladin auras are just broken, but they do stack as well. So I mean, that's something that I could see, which is kind of an inclusion of a monster, that being anything that can petrify permanently. And then also if the order keeps on a bunch of like cures for petrification, these dudes aren't dead. Like they still might have a few years left in them. So if the city ever becomes sieged, like they can unpetrify everybody, and now they have an extra legion of like combat veterans of like almost 16 paladins that are all ready to fight for the city and then go back to being statues.
When you're petrified, are you conscious?
I don't know.
No, you don't have. So we had a character in our Tomb of Annihilation game recently who was petrified, and we found out he did not see or anything. He just literally like froze and then woke up like instantly for him.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say like you could also like turn that into like a wild like event too, like because if they are conscious when they're petrified, which it could be some modified version of petrification, they're waking up and they might have gone insane because they can watch everything happening around them, but they can't do anything. So then you could have the scenario of, oh gosh, the statues are coming to life and attacking everybody.
Yeah, totally.
So
like society's not what it was when we were petrified. Like, let's turn against it.
These
What the hell
darn
is a
kids keep
Zoomer?
spray painting my my statue.
Yeah.
And to be fair, D&D, all the rules in there are just recommendations. So if you want them to be conscious, go ahead.
Yeah.
Write that encounter.
And like,
I'm
that's
giving it to you.
also
Have it.
a really
It's yours.
fun opportunity for like a character who is part of this like group of paladins or this order of knights. If they're like seeking counsel, it's like, all right, we'll dust off old so-and-so from like 1,000 years ago who is like the leader of this order. And like, maybe they have something to say about the current state of affairs. But my actual monstrous answer, which is always the answer when this question, not this question specifically, but when a question like this comes up of monsters I just want to see doing stuff they don't normally do, is mimics. Mimics are so versatile and they can just be anything. Like if you are a farmer and you have a mimic that is like willing to work with you, that's every tool you'll ever need for the rest of your life. Like that's your hoe, that's your rake, that's your shovel, that's whatever. So like if you have domesticated mimics that like, as long as you're willing to feed them and like look after them the way you would a pet, they're willing to like transform into whatever tools or objects you need. That's unreal.
Yeah.
Like I think that a farmer who has a relationship with a mimic and like the party goes and like, oh, where are all your tools? And they're like, oh, I have one. It's that shovel over there, but it's also a guy. And its name is whatever.
That's great.
I think is very fun. So yeah, I don't know. Mimics are just a creature I'm always looking for ways to include in games.
Yeah.
Beyond
mimics.
a gotcha.
We had a mimic pet in one of my campaigns, and I wrote it into the adventure that I wrote by putting its offspring in the adventure. And they were mundane items in the kitchen of the house because that's where the family spent most of their time. And they acted just like cats.
Yeah.
See, the cats wouldn't let you use them though. They'd be like, "Oh, don't pick me up," and like you might have a couple that'd be like, "Okay, yeah, pick me up," but most be like, "Rah!"
They were very friendly, docile cats, but more like cats than dogs.
Gotcha.
Like,
That's awesome.
Oh, you need a spoon? I will be a knife. I'm willing to do that. It's like,
I don't want to be a spoon today. I'm gonna sit here in the sunlight and enjoy myself. Don't touch me.
I'm feeling edgy.
I love that.
It's a knife joke. Anyways.
So yeah, all of you guys have wonderful answers on this, and I'm totally gonna cherry pick some of this stuff because it's great. Speaking of like the trashes, like Fred had said, we had talked about like purple worms a couple weeks ago, and basically devouring rocks and tunneling. They could also serve as a trash, but I like the idea of using like a large purple worm to tunnel so that you can connect underground cities and things like that, or just to make an area bigger or deeper, like for a foundation or whatever. So I love that idea. I also like some of the smaller creatures like kobolds and goblins and bullywugs and stuff like that. Maybe they service your sewers. Maybe they're your plumbers in town because they can get into the small pipes and run through them and do what they need to do. That's always been something that I have done. In fact, in our Descent to Avernus game, we have players all playing kobolds, and I said that they were from the sewers of El Terrell, and that's why they are in Avernus in El Terrell. But some other cool things that I've seen and heard of people doing is maybe a trapped will-o-wisp that serves as your night lights for your street lights. Same thing with like fire elementals. They're trapped. You could use them as lanterns or whatever you need for light. Maybe you want to use it to heat something up, and because they're stuck, they radiate the heat, but they can't get out. Just be careful where you leave them. Things like that, just little simple things. And I think when you take these and you put them in a city, and maybe not all the cities in your world have it, but one specific city does this, it makes that city more memorable for your players. And that's always a win-win in my book. So, but gosh, you guys had good ones. I can't wait to steal them.
Steal everything. Use everyone's good ideas.
Oh, I will be. And
That's,
you guys
that's what
should too.
DMing is.
I agree. And, make it your own. Add your own personal flair to it. Use it to inspire your stuff. And, you're on your way to an amazing campaign for sure. All right. Thank you for watching. This was Master the Game. I am Juice. Game on. In 2021, the creator of the Story Engine deck ran a successful Kickstarter called The Deck of Worlds. This is a Kickstarter that was for world building prompts. It has all sorts of different cards in it that are going to help you in your own world building. Now, the release date is going to be later this year, and pre-orders are now open. This is just a tool that I thought you guys would find useful based on the fact that you clicked on this video. This is not a paid advertisement.